Sports Fanatic Squad, it's Coach Rafael checking in with you guys today. I wanted to do a quick video. I got some feedback on one of my previous videos where I was doing some shooting. I think I titled the video Buckets 4 for 4, and I've been getting some feedback about that video. And people want to know how I became such a good shooter. But I'll do the best I can in trying to give you some tips on how I did that. I'll go back, I'd say, my summer before going into high school. So it was a summer before going into high school. I had a basic set shot up until that point. And a set shot basically means that you kind of shoot the ball from your legs, so to speak. And it's more arm involved versus, actually jumping up to the top of your, or as high as you can actually, and releasing the basketball. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't want to get too technical. But that summer, before I went into high school, I went outside and I started doing all these drills, and I totally changed my shot. I patterned my shot after a guy named Kenny Smith. He's an older basketball player, played for the Houston Rockets when Akeem Olajuwon was playing, and it was Kenny Smith and Akeem Olajuwon had a pretty good two-man duo, but he had one of the best shooting forms that I've ever seen in my entire life. So one summer, like I said, for the whole summer, I just went out and I did one particular shooting drill over and over and over and over and over again for that entire summer, which was about maybe 2 or 3 months, until I was able to elevate up high enough in the air where in my mind I can shoot the ball over taller defenders. And so I practiced that shooting drill over and over and over again, and really developed a shooting form just doing that particular shooting drill. For a lot of smaller players out there who don't have the height, and you're trying to develop your shot over taller guys, like power forwards, centers, you got a lot of big guards out there that they'll have a special assignment just to guard shooters so they can't get their shot off. But if you're a smaller guy and you want to develop your shooting, I recommend you work on something called a jump shot. And you can go online and you can Google various jump shot formalities and various jump shot drills. I may actually do a jump shot drill a little later on once my audience starts to build up. But that's really what I developed that summer. Was I developed what you would call a jump shot, where I could shoot the ball over bigger guys, and I could shoot the ball off the dribble, meaning I'm dribbling the ball up the court. And then let's say I want to get to a certain spot on the court. Let's say I want to dribble the ball to the free throw line, from the backcourt. So I'm dribbling the ball up the court full speed, and I'm going to get to that free throw line. I'm going to stop right on the dime. I'm going to jump in the air and I'm going to shoot that jump shot. So that's another reason why the jump shot was good, because it allowed me to get shots up off the dribble where I can stop on a dime, a precision stop, and then just go up over the defender and get my release. The main thing mentally that did it for me, though, with the shooting was I changed my focus. And so different basketball players have different techniques on what they look for and what they look at when they're shooting the basketball. I'll give you a little secret. What I looked at when I shot the basketball each and every time, which really made my shot consistent, was there was a mental voice in my head. Well, there's actually two things I'll tell you that did it for me. The first mental voice told me to imagine that there was a tiny little golf ball suspended in the middle of the hoop. And that's where I would put my target, and I would visualize that little tiny golf ball in the middle of the hoop. And every time I shot the basketball, I played the little mind game, with my brain to try to aim for that little imaginary tiny golf ball suspended in the middle of the hoop. Now, that was one way that I increased my shooting percentage. The second way I increased my shooting percentage was by telling myself to aim for the middle of the hoop, right? So the minute you go up and you're looking at the goal or you're looking at the hoop, there's so much going on that hoop, right? You got the net, you got the backboard. There's so many things that confuse you, let alone if you got a guy running out you and he has his hand in the air, trying to deflect, trying to block your shot. But to really be precise, and to have tunnel vision, psychologically, I told myself, aim for the middle, aim for the middle. Now, there really isn't anything in the middle of the hoop. It's just air, basically. But I was able to use my imagination, and you got to use your imagination with this stuff, and kind of psych myself up to think I am going to aim for this middle area of the hoop, and I am going to put the ball in there every single time. And the minute I started thinking that, just before I released the basketball, I started to see more of my shots go directly in the center of the hoop and get that swish, right? And that's how you know. That's really how you know if psychologically and mentally you have your target set at the right precision spot of the hoop. to where when you start making shots, the basketball is hitting nothing but the net. It's not hitting any parts of the rim. So those are really two tactics that I used. I'll go through them again. The first one was I changed my shot into a jump shot. Going into my first year as a 10th grader at high school, where I can shoot up and over the guys. So I did a lot of repetition in developing a jump shot and being able to shoot off the dribble with that shot as well. The second thing I did was I changed my mental focus to right when I looked at the hoop, that very first glance of looking at the hoop, just before I released the basketball, for my shot, I told myself, aim for an imaginary golf ball that's sort of suspended in the middle of the hoop. And the third thing I did to take it a little further mentally and psychologically was I told myself right before I released that basketball to aim for the middle of the hoop. And now I found better results when I told myself to aim for the middle of the hoop versus aiming for an imaginary golf ball. Why that is, I do not know, but that's just the way it worked out. And the most important thing that you always have to remember is the repetition. Now, you can do the first, the second, and the third tip, but if you don't have the repetition behind it, then it's not going to do you any good. I'll give you a better example. There's a video out there with Steph Curry, and I think I could be wrong. I may have to research this. If you guys know the video, go ahead and send it to me or put it in the comments, where I think in his shooting drills, he shot about 1,000 shots a workout. Now, can you imagine shooting 1,000 shots every time you decide to work on your shooting? But I get it though, because you're basically preparing your brain to just get comfortable with doing the same thing over and over and over again. And just like anything in life, to train your brain to get into a good habit or to get out of a bad habit, and in some cases, getting into bad habits, the repetition is what causes your brain to do it, right? So to create a good habit or a good shooting habit, I did a lot of repetitions. Now, I wasn't doing 1,000 shots a workout. I probably would do maybe 200 shots a workout. And that workout probably went for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. When I say workout, I'm referring to a shooting workout. So those are really the four components. I'll repeat them one more time. The first thing was I changed my regular set shot into a jump shot where I was able to jump over guys and able to shoot the ball off the dribble, which really helped my game significantly. That's number one. Number two was my focus. My first focus was to try to shoot the ball at an imaginary golf ball suspended in the middle of the hoop. And then I took it a step further and I told myself to aim for the middle of the hoop just before I released the basketball. So I had my laser visions on, my tunnel vision, everything is focused and sharp, mentally training my brain to get that ball down in the center of the hoop and not hit any parts of the rim, because all I want to hear is a swish, right? And the final thing I did, which is the most important, is the repetition. I was shooting, as I said before, about 200 shots a workout, and those workouts typically went for 30 minutes to about an hour. And that's really it. So if you really want to become a great shooter, you got to put in the work, okay? And you got to kind of change your focus to put that ball where you want it to go, which is ultimately the middle of the hoop. All right, Sports Fanatic Squad, that's a little tip for you guys who want to, guys who want to go out there and develop your shooting and become a little bit more consistent and more efficient in your shooting. So if you got any videos out there, let me know. Send them to me, like I said, put them in the comments, or you can just send them to me, however, and I'll take a look at them. But other than that, hopefully, that can kind of help some guys out who want to become a better shooter. Okay, that's all I got for today. Coach Rafael, signing off.